Imagine having 3 hearts beating inside your chest. You'd think of strength, endless stamina, never getting tired. Now imagine that, the moment you burst into a sprint, your main heart simply stops beating, and you have to slow down before your body starts to fail. Deep in the ocean, there's an animal that lives exactly like that, every single day of its life. We learn early on that the heart is a pump. It pushes blood, the blood carries oxygen, and oxygen keeps the entire body running. Following that logic, 3 pumps should mean more power, more endurance. An animal capable of swimming for hours without getting tired. But here, nature takes a different path. This animal, with its 3 hearts, spends most of its life slowly crawling across the seafloor. It can swim. It can shoot off like a rocket when danger shows up. But it avoids doing that whenever possible. And when it does, it pays a very high price for the effort. So why does a body with 3 hearts move as if it barely has any energy? The answer isn't in the number of hearts. It's in the color of the blood flowing through its body. Blood that isn't red. First, let's meet our main character. We're talking about the octopus. A soft-bodied animal with 8 arms that seems like liquid flowing between the rocks. A body with no bones whatsoever, capable of squeezing through openings barely larger than its own eye. The octopus's cousins share the same system. Squid and cuttlefish also have the same 3-heart structure. They all belong to the same group, the cephalopods. Think of it like a family tree, different branches growing from the same trunk, and that trunk already carried the genetics for 3 hearts. So this isn't some weird quirk unique to the octopus. It's the solution this entire group carries in their bodies, each in its own way. And it's a solution to a problem that begins precisely with the unusual color of their blood. Let's take a careful look inside the octopus's body. Right in the center, there's one main heart. Scientists call it the systemic heart. It's the one that pumps blood to the entire body, the arms, the head, the organs. If that were all there was to it, it'd be pretty similar to ours. But then come the other 2. Positioned near the gills are 2 smaller hearts. These are the branchial hearts. Think of them as 2 support pumps, one on each side. They have one job, to push blood into the gills. And why is that so important that it takes 2 pumps dedicated exclusively to that task? Because it's inside the gills that the blood picks up oxygen from the water. That's where the recharge happens. The 2 branchial hearts fill the gills with blood. The blood absorbs oxygen, and only then does that oxygen-loaded blood return to the central heart, which sends it to the rest of the body. In other words, we have one heart with chambers that do everything together. The octopus has that work divided into 3 separate parts. 2 to load oxygen, 1 to deliver it. But why divide the work like that? The clue is in the color of the octopus's blood. Our blood is red because of hemoglobin, a molecule that uses iron to grab onto oxygen. Iron, when loaded with oxygen, gives blood its red color. The octopus doesn't use iron. It uses copper. The molecule in its blood is called hemocyanin. And instead of iron, it has copper at its core. When that copper fills up with oxygen, the blood takes on a bluish color. It's not red, it's blue. There's another structural difference that helps explain the rest. In our bodies, hemoglobin is packaged inside billions of red blood cells. It's like transporting oxygen inside sealed, organized boxes moving through the bloodstream. In the octopus, hemocyanin isn't inside any cells at all. It floats freely, dissolved in the blood's fluid. Imagine cargo scattered loose in the back of a truck instead of packed into boxes. It works, but it's a different and less concentrated way of moving the same cargo. And it's not just the color that changes. The efficiency changes too. Compared to hemoglobin, hemocyanin carries less oxygen at a time. If you picture blood as a fleet of trucks transporting oxygen throughout the body, the octopus's trucks carry a smaller load on every trip. So why stick with a system that delivers less? Because it has one major advantage in the very environment where the octopus lives. In cold, oxygen-poor water, hemocyanin performs better than hemoglobin would. It works especially well under the exact conditions found on the seafloor. But that advantage comes with a hefty price tag. Since each trip of blood carries less oxygen, the octopus depends on one thing above all else: constant circulation. The blood has to keep moving without interruption. If that flow stops, even for a short time, the body feels it immediately. Because there is one moment when the octopus's central heart deliberately stops beating. Have you ever noticed? Every octopus has 2 ways of getting around. The first is crawling. It uses its 8 arms and suckers to pull and push itself across the seafloor in a slow, energy-efficient crawl. The second is far more impressive to watch. The octopus pulls water into its body, into a muscular sac called the mantle. Then it squeezes everything out all at once, forcing the water through a tube called the siphon. The jet of water propels the body backward at high speed. This is known as jet propulsion. It looks like a rocket shooting through the water, but there's one catch. When the octopus swims using jet propulsion, the systemic heart, the central heart, the one that pumps blood to the rest of the body, stops beating. The contraction of the mantle puts pressure on the area where the heart sits, and the heartbeat is interrupted during the burst. Think about what that means. At the very moment the body needs the most energy, at the peak of its effort, the main pump responsible for circulating blood is on pause. Picture a heartbeat monitor, the line rising and falling across the screen. When the octopus is still, it beats steadily. The instant it fires off in a jet-powered burst, the line goes flat. Then, as soon as it slows down, the heartbeat returns, on and off with every burst. The result is that jet propulsion builds up an oxygen debt very quickly. Every burst demands a lot, but gives back very little. It's an effort that exhausts the octopus's body in a short time, and afterward it needs to remain still for a while to recover. It can do it, and it does when escaping is a matter of survival. But it's not something it can keep up for very long. So if swimming is so costly for the octopus, what's left? Crawling. That slow crawl along the seafloor doesn't interrupt the central heart. The circulation keeps flowing without pause. The blood continues delivering oxygen, even if it's doing so more slowly. Crawling also uses far less energy than launching itself in jet-powered bursts every few moments. For a body with a more limited oxygen transport system, that efficiency isn't just a nice bonus. It's what allows the animal to hunt, explore, and go about its daily life without wearing itself out. Picture the scene. An octopus moving slowly across the seafloor, its arms feeling along every crevice and every rock, searching for food or a place to hide. No rush. And the central heart beating continuously, without stopping, keeping that blue blood in motion. It may look slow on the outside, but inside, everything is moving non-stop. That's the state its body can maintain for hours. The rocket-like burst of jet propulsion is safe for moments when it's absolutely necessary. So what might look like laziness, or a lack of energy, is actually the form of movement that best matches the body the octopus has. Jet propulsion is reserved for emergencies. Crawling is its everyday way of life. Those three hearts aren't there to give it super strength. They're there to compensate for blood that needs a lot more support to circulate throughout the octopus's body. That leaves crawling, slow, efficient, and with the circulatory system always running. The most interesting part is what this whole story teaches us. We tend to think that more is always better. More hearts, more power, more parts, more strength. But the octopus's body shows the opposite. It's not some supercharged machine. It's a collection of trade-offs, a solution that fixes one problem while creating a new limitation along the way. Three hearts aren't an excess of strength. They're the answer to a limitation. And looking at them reminds us that nature's adaptations almost always come with two sides. In the end, the octopus carries inside its body one of those ideas that makes you stop and think. Sometimes having more doesn't mean being more capable. It means needing more just to keep your body going. Three hearts, blue blood, and a slow crawl across the seafloor. Every bit of it exists for a reason in nature. If you enjoy discovering more strange facts about nature, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.